Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Dynasty Queens. I'm Pamela Nicole, and I've got my gorgeous co-host,
Nia J.
Oh, my goodness, guys. We have a wonderful, wonderful guest today. We've got the beautiful Muslim philanthropist, Na'imah Muttalib. Let's welcome her to the Dynasty house.
Welcome, Na'Imah.
Hi, Na'imah.
Hi, I'm really glad to be here.
Absolutely. Oh, you are actually a philanthropist. Tell us how you got started into philanthropy.
Actually, it was something that I, just was invited into by someone that I went to college with. I went to Temple University, and he was the president of the Muslim Student Association there. And I also became the president after him. So I've known him since college, and he invited me to an iftar. It's a meal that you have after Ramadan, or during Ramadan rather. And so he knows that I was an educator, and he was an educator as well. And so he invited me to be a part of an education committee where we do things to help, the Muslim community listen to what their needs are and to address them. So I said, I'm interested. I was a Muslim student in Philadelphia, so I connect with what it's like to be a student,
Right.
and what are some of the concerns. So I felt like it was a good fit.
Okay,
That's great.
great. So when you were a child, did you have like a fondness for helping people, or did you know that you were going to be in this type of mission in your life?
Well, I would say that I grew up around a lot of pioneers. So just a little bit of history with Islam in Philadelphia. You had, the shift from the nation and around the 70s, and a lot of people shift there. If you know a little bit about Malcolm X, his shift from the nation of Islam to Sunni Islam, a lot of Muslims in Philadelphia and a lot of major cities followed that shift as well.
Yeah.
So the goal of Muslims in the city, so these are like my parents' generation, was to create a Muslim community for their children. So what I learned from them and just being around like my parents and my parents' friends and people at the mosque and so on was to notice whatever your issue is and find a solution, in-house.
Yeah.
So we would, if it was Islamic schools, if it was activities, if it was, stores that service our needs, we would just create it.
Gotcha.
And so it just felt like I actually, the term philanthropist it seems like, it doesn't seem like me because it feels so more natural that this is just what I would do. It's just like, there's a need, you feel the need.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to even give it that title, I guess others would give that title, but I don't see it personally. But I guess if it fits, then I'm okay with that too.
Okay. Right.
Awesome. What would you say are the top 3 things in Philadelphia that you would like to see change and for the Muslim community?
Well, definitely one of the things that, let me talk about something that has changed, because I definitely want to, give props to the school district of Philadelphia, which I actually work for.
Okay.
Good.
So I want to give props to them because they have, in the recent years, put on the calendar the Eid holidays, both of them. So this is something that I know growing up, I would have to take off of school. My children, when they were in school, and my older children, when they were in high school, and they would have to miss school to go to the Eid holidays, it will be considered an absence. So, and maybe the last 4 or 5 years, the school district has recognized that and put it on the calendar. So the whole district is closed. So it's a day off for Philadelphia school systems.
Great.
So that's, I would definitely like to, shout out the school district of Philadelphia for, coming to the need of the community, that a lot of the students in the schools are Muslim, or they're Muslim affiliate, they got family that are Muslim, so being all for the Christian, the Jewish, and the Muslim holidays just makes sense. So
Exactly.
that's one thing that was definitely an issue that had been taken care of before I even got involved. Another issue is prayer in school. So Muslims, we pray 5 times a day. So the prayers are like the pre-dawn prayer, the noontime prayer, the afternoon prayer, the sunset prayer, and the night prayer. So in general, depending on the time of the year, you'll have 1 to 2 prayers that are in during the school day.
Yeah.
So it's definitely the noontime prayer and sometimes the afternoon prayer. So what I found as a Muslim student is trying to find a clean and safe place to pray. So that would be a issue when I was in school, when I was out of school, wherever I am. I prayed on planes, trains, ambulances. I used to be an EMT. So I prayed in train stations and airports. So one of the things Muslims do is we pray whenever it's time to pray, we stop and pray.
Yes.
So when it comes to being in school, that's the same situation.
Right.
So you have many students that they are trying to figure out how to do this with, the administration and where they're allowed to go, missing class for a certain amount of minutes. So that's something that is something that they're searching for.
Right.
So this is one of the things we're really trying to work with is allowing that. A lot of places like hospitals and airports have interfaith chapels where it's a non-denominational room that's considered like a meditation room.
Right.
And any person can, it's public. So any person that wants to use it can go in there, and it's safe and it's private, it's clean. So what we're looking to do is trying to have these in the schools.
All right.
So fortunately at the school district building, they've created a meditation room.
Okay.
It's very new. It's been there since last November. So now the district employees and anyone, it's not for Muslims, it's not for Jewish people, it's not for, Christians, it's for everybody to come in and have a quiet place.
Right.
And, just relax, meditate, pray, whatever they want to do. So that's something that I'm glad the school district has, saw as a need, that they said, okay, we want to facilitate this in our district building. But now we need it in the schools because one of the things is the students, and why the organization that I'm working with, why we work the way we do is because you can't expect a child to fight for certain rights that we think as parents and as the Muslim community, we think this is what they should have, but a child may not have the strength. If you imagine a 10-year-old say, I need to go pray, I need to, clean myself in the bathroom, put a few extra minutes during lunchtime. They may not be, every child may not advocate for themselves for that. So this is where we come in to say, okay, let's try to advocate and do it system-wide because it's, it doesn't solve the problem to do it in a few schools, and then you have other students that still have an issue. So that's one of the things that we are working on. And there's a lot. There's a lot. I don't know. I'll pause and let you ask another question, but there's many. We have initiatives. So we have like a long list of initiatives. That's probably one of the top ones that we're really advocating for, but we have others around educating about Ramadan. Yeah. So one of the things, so Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, and this is when Muslims they fast from sun up to sundown. So some of the things that occur with the body is you get tired, like especially in the beginning, you're tired, you're fatigued, So one of the things we do is that we're also educating the teachers about the issues with the students, like they may have their head down, part of the at some of the classes, and you may think that they're not trying to listen, but they're actually they're experiencing some of the results of fasting.
Right. They're tired, probably.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, in the last few recent years, we've been, educating the staff on, what to expect when Ramadan comes around. Also, another thing to expect is you're going to have a lot of students that you didn't know were Muslim are now wanting to be Muslim or showing that they're Muslim outwardly, more so wearing the hijab, or the boys wearing the thobe, or they're wanting to pray. So you may have 10 students that you knew were Muslim during the rest of the year, and then during Ramadan, there's 50, there's 60, and you're like, what do I do with this volume? Yeah. So we try to prepare them to have a game plan so that they don't have chaos and, gets into issues where students feel like their rights are not being respected in the schools. So we really try to work with the community. We're a community group, and we try to work with the schools, and we try to work with also the city and, where we need their assistance to try to fill in the gaps of, with
I
the
love that
students.
because it's not happening anywhere else as far as I know.
Yeah,
And there's Muslim communities everywhere, and that's really not, especially with public schools, because
yeah,
I know back in my time, they removed the church and state or whatever from the public school system,
of course.
in Texas. And I'm from Houston. We're from Houston. We know they have a Black Muslim community that's very large. And there's other major cities that do as well.
Absolutely.
So that sounds like major progress that's happening out here. So kudos to you and your team because, no one's ever thought about that. Everyone's only observed,
Christian holidays and, exactly.
Yeah.
And this one it also seems like it's more of a national need, honestly. Do you feel like once you get the city of Philadelphia, up on their toes and everybody's like kind of uniformed with everything, do you feel like you're going to take this, to different areas like statewide and, other states and
advocate for Muslims all over the United
make it a nationwide?
Absolutely. One of the things that I mentioned, like when the school district, right before they had the prayer room or the meditation room started, I said that there's that Philadelphia has a very large concentrated Muslim population. That if they do things here, they will be like the pioneers in this for the other places, because we do have a connection with other cities like in New York City, Atlanta, Baltimore, Detroit. They're similar Muslim populations and they have similar issues. Right now, I'm not specifically connected to them as far as what they're doing, but I do hear certain things are moving in, similar ways. But definitely when we get some things really established and on the books, and hopefully it can become more citywide, then this will be a rinse and repeat for other cities because the populations are there. And if the school system and the city system is looking to, do things that answer the needs of their population, the Muslim population is definitely a large population that I think that they shouldn't ignore, but it definitely calls on the community to be advocates for that because they're not going to just do it for you. So we have to say, okay, we are here. We have these certain requests. We would like to do it in an organized way. Give us the room, and they just have to be open with it. And which I found so far in Philadelphia, they have been. I don't know about other cities, but I think Philadelphia can definitely be a leader in the things that we establish here.
That's wonderful.
What would you say is the largest deficit right now, or the biggest disconnect? When it comes to the needs of the Muslim community out here that are not being met whatsoever at the moment?
I would say there is violence. Okay, so I would say there's a big deficit with a lot of young African Americans are becoming Muslim. And that's great. We welcome them into Islam, no problem. But they're not learning. And some of the things we find that they're maybe considered unmosqued. So when they're unmosqued, they're kind of out there not knowing what to do and just kind of following each other, and just with the times that we are at now, a lot of people are just following what they know on social media. So they don't really have that stewardship that I would say I grew up with. I was in the mosque, I saw the people, I saw behaviors. So I think one of the needs is the community needs to figure out, the Muslim community needs to figure out how to reach those kids that are becoming Muslim and are not connected to a mosque, maybe not connected to a family. Also, too, unfortunately, some of the, some violence that's happening in Philadelphia is happening, by people that are considering themselves Muslim or at least Muslim affiliate. And that's something that I think the city is definitely should be concerned about. They may not realize how to deal with it. So we are working on some ways of how to bridge the gap between, how do we reach these kids that are not in the mosque, that are, when the police reaches them, it's after arrest or after, some type of altercation, not before. So how do we reach these kids and, bring them into the fold of, leadership and living in a positive way and contributing to the community and not like tearing it down.
Right.
So that's really something that it's a big issue. We have some plans in the works.
Right.
That we want to, if we can actually roll it out, it'll be massive. And hopefully we can have the partnership of the city and the school systems, as well as the community to reach these kids, because as you know, like when violence happens, it's like you can get caught up in it. You could just be driving down the street and something happens. Your children could be just on, public transportation
and are getting affected by it as well.
So it's definitely something that I think everybody has a buy-in for.
Right. And then also, since we're on that topic, we're talking about the children who, they don't know any other way, but they just know that Islam may be a good way to help turn their lives around. What about those reformed prisoners when they're coming out? They're converting while they're incarcerated to Islam. They've never actually had to walk or practice a righteous life outside of the bars. So do you find a lot of them assimilating into the community in a good way, a negative way? You have concerns about some of that?
So, I mean, I do know there's a large Muslim population in the prison system, and, there's reasons for that, maybe for protection or, just the positivity that, they see with Muslims versus other people, and they want to be a part of that, which is good. When, you do have some people, that come from that and they want to live positive lives and they become leaders of the community. Some of them, unfortunately, they may come and they just, are Muslim in name, and they go back to that. A lot that happens with, some people who are, previously incarcerated. That's the life they know. So they just go back to it, or they're pulled back to it because of lack of, opportunity in other ways. So I do feel that, it could be either one. It depends on the people that come out of prison and decide what they want to do with their life. Do they want to, reform themselves and live that way, or do they want to, just, continue living how they did and just, cause a cycle?
Do you guys have any programs in place for reformed, Muslim, prison, or people that were incarcerated who are trying to change their lives, know the way of Allah and everything, and try to really, change their life for the better?
I don't know per se. Like, I work with the education committee, but the organization, so I'll just, say the name of the organization I work with. It's the Majlis Ashura Education Committee. So Majlis Ashura is an Arabic term for advisory council. So this is an organization that's been around for over 30 years. And it was started by men in the community that said, okay, we have needs and we need to basically form committees to handle the needs. So they have the education committee. They have, for example, an economic committee.
Got you.
They have a committee for burial. So it's a lot of different committees that they have to address the different needs.
Right.
So the issues with that, I don't know specifically if they have programs outside of that, or if the community has that, but I do know of men and women that go into the prisons and teach. So that happens a lot. They regularly they go give classes, and then when the people they come out, we embrace them, because this is something that just in the African American community, which a lot of Muslims that I'm speaking about that I know are African American, this is just something, a part of life, that they've spent some time in jail. And so when they come out, it's not really a big stigma. It's really like, if you are, trying to be positive, we're accepting of that. So, I'm sure if there are needs of the people needing to get jobs and things like that, that there are, maybe they connect on an individual level and find other men in the mosque to help them with jobs and things. But, just in general, it's open. It's a loving community to accept people that come in and with all different backgrounds.
Love that. Yeah.
Today's episode of Dynasty Queens is brought to you by Drip Talk, the newest, hottest trend in fashion. You guys, if you love fashion, being a trendsetter, looking your best, you can have it all in the palm of your hand. This Drip Top app is what it's about. Fresh trends in fashion. Please believe me, we know what's up. Whether you're into streetwear, the chic style, it doesn't matter. You can be going out a night in the town. We got you. Make sure you check us out. Browse this app. It's at just a drop and click of the tap of the screen. Let's roll. Drip Top.
And the best part of it too is it's not just about discovering new fashion. It's about the community. It's a full-on community. So you can follow your favorite content creators. You can get tips and tricks to your fashion, whatever you want to do. And on top of that, you can level up your style.
Right.
It's a great thing. So y'all go ahead and download the Drip Top app. You can get it on Google Play and the App Store, Apple Store. And go ahead and look it up. It's Drip Top, DRIPTOCK, and level up your style today. Also, go ahead and visit the website at www.driptop.com, or you can go ahead and scan the QR code right here on our screen. Y'all, don't forget, stay bold, stay fresh, and stay all together with Drip Top. Yeah, that was actually good. But part of my next question for you, as far as, people that are not of the Muslim faith that want to, contribute and, sponsor or help, where can they go? What information do you have that you can guide people to be helpful?
I would definitely say go to your local mosque. Don't feel afraid that, come as you are, and let them know I'm here to learn. I have questions, in general, my experience is most mosques are open places. They're public.
Yeah.
Well, semi-public, but they have open doors rather.
Yes.
So you can go in and ask questions. And certain times, like I would say, a great time to go if you want to see how some of the rituals are done is during Ramadan. So at around sunset, they have the iftar meals, which is dinner basically when you break the fast. And that's the time we see a lot of people at the mosque, and it's a great time to just fellowship and come and ask questions and see how things are done. Or Friday prayer, the midday prayer, that's another good time, like all year round, where you can come in and just ask questions. And most places that I've visited will not shun you because you're not covered as a woman, or you don't know, you're there to ask. But a lot of people, what I have seen is, knowing the modesty of women and men, they do try to cover a little more if they are going to the mosque out of respect for the community. But
Absolutely.
I would say the door's open, ask. And then, there's, the internet is there.
Yeah.
I mean, everything on there is, take it with a grain of salt. But I think it's a starting place to, if you have a simple question, to find out some things.
Yeah.
And then go to a mosque. Or ask, people that are Muslim to invite you and, ask questions. And I think that's a good way to get into it. And then read. Like, if you want to read some books yourself to get an idea. One of the things, though, how I learned is that learning is from chest to chest. So it's from teacher to student.
Right. Yeah.
So although you can buy books at a bookstore is great, but the way our Prophet Muhammad taught was from chest to chest. And he was taught by the angel Gabriel from chest to chest. And he taught every people from chest to chest. So that means that we learn from a person, from a teacher, because in a book, you could read it and it could be a mistake, or it could be something that you misunderstood. And, since it has to do with religion, we want to be really, authentic and, and pristine with it. So we don't want to just, practice something that was a mistake because of our own misunderstanding. So this is why it's important to have a teacher.
Okay.
That's great.
And then who is a leader, perhaps a Muslim leader, that, really inspires you or motivated you to continue with your work for the community?
Everybody says Malcolm X. But he was just like, he was just someone I think that was unafraid.
Okay.
And he was smart.
Yeah.
He was really smart. And if you just even look at, I think a lot of people, they just listen to like short videos. He was just so intelligent. So he definitely inspires me to want to be intelligent.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, it's not cool to be stupid.
No.
It's not cool to fake dumb. It's not, it's like, it's cool to be smart. It's cool, but it's also cool to be realistic.
Yeah.
And be connected with what it is and be down to earth. And I think he was a lot of that. So he's definitely, someone that I look to and I was just like, wow, I mean, to have someone like that in our tradition is great. And then there's a lot of, people in my community that it's just numerous ones. Like I said, I grew up with pioneers. I grew up with people that said, we're going to make a Muslim life for ourselves and our families. So I learned from all of them a little bit here and there about how to be, really being truthful. And, another person, my mother, rahimahullah. Rahimahullah means, basically we say that when someone passed away. So my mother passed away. So she would tell me like all the time, the golden rule, Na'Imah, remember the golden rule. And that's to treat people the way you want to be treated.
Absolutely.
So that's something that I heard all the time. And I take that with me everywhere I go. So I would say my mother, Malcolm X, and just everyone in the community that just dropped the gem, over my life.
Right. Yes.
I would, I look to them as, people that made me who I am.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. What would you say, because I'm actually not very familiar with the Muslim faith, for people that, don't really know much about it. I know we talked about books and, going to mosque and things. Are there maybe one or two things that you'd like to share about your faith that, just for our viewers that aren't familiar, that just like fun facts?
I guess I'll start with, so the Shahada. So when a person wants to become Muslim, they take the Shahada. So the Shahada is there in Arabic is Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. So it means that I believe and I declare that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. So what does that mean? So that means that first thing I would say is who is Allah? And Allah is the Arabic word for God. So who is God? So that's the first thing. Well, as Muslims, we believe that God is one. He doesn't have any partners. He's not a man. He's not a body. He's not in a place. He's not subject to time. There's nothing like him. So when we say I believe in Allah, I believe in God, we're talking about God not being a man or even having children. So as Muslims, we don't even say we're children of God. We don't say that. We are creations of God because we don't believe God had children. So Adam and Eve were creations. Jesus was a creation. All of us are creations. And then we say that that Muhammad is a messenger. So why do we need Muhammad? Why do we need a messenger? Because each of us individually don't talk to God. This is in the Muslim belief. We don't talk to God individually. So Prophet Muhammad was a messenger. He came with rules and laws and, things that we should understand, from what God sent to him, revealed to him. And the same thing with you have other prophets like Adam and Jesus and Moses. All of those were prophets that God sent a revelation to so that they could teach the people. So that's the importance of the prophets. So, so Prophet Muhammad is the prophet of the generation after the generation of Prophet Jesus. So before Muhammad was Jesus. So Jesus came and he did the same thing, told the people to believe in God correctly. He's not a man. He's not, he's not a person. He's not his father, and so on. And to follow these rules and these laws to live a better life, to please God. So Jesus did that. And then, and then Prophet Muhammad did that too. So when Muslims today say that when a person says they want to be a Muslim, or when a person that is Muslim says what they believe, this is what we believe. So I would say that's really the importance. Of course, you're as a Muslim woman, you recognize me by my clothes. That's important. I mean, modesty is important. But I would definitely like lean to what do Muslims believe, because you have different people with different understandings about modesty. In general, there are some specific verses in the Quran that says, what is considered the dress of the woman, what can be revealed, what is held private. So in general, like when you see Muslim women, you pretty much see a similar type of modesty, but you have some variations with people just doing it, on their personal level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting.
Definitely. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I think that people should have understanding that, there's more than one faith other than Christianity. So Islam, there are so many people that practice the faith of Islam in the world. So it's a lot, in this, United States and also around the world.
Yeah.
There's so many people that practice Islam. So it is to be respected for
Very
sure.
much so.
Yeah. And I also agree, like Malcolm X, for his time, he wasn't afraid to speak his mind as well. I think when it comes to me, that's something I really respected. Like he sat on those platforms with those, white TV hosts and said, the white man is the devil and all this stuff with no shame, with no, I got to do this or whatever to, for censorship. He was like, no, we're going to tell it like it is. Yeah. So I definitely respect him. So I like that choice.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali too. He was another. He wasn't afraid, and he played with the people.
Yeah,
he played with them. He basically used humor and wit to like turn the tables. And it was crazy is because he was one of the best of what he did. So it's just like he didn't need your approval, and he can just humiliate you right in front of a camera and be okay with that, and don't feel like, okay, you can't take away anything from me because I've achieved what I've achieved by the world standards.
Yeah.
So he's another one. I actually had the opportunity to shake his hand. I was about 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. A friend of mine, her father was part of his security. So he had come. We was in a mall actually, and he met up with his daughter in the mall. We was there, and he just was like, he wanted to shake his hand. It was cool.
It was cool.
It was he was at that point, he was older, of course, but it was definitely one of the things that I was like, wow, I'm glad that I had that privilege.
Right.
Yeah.
My mom met him at 12 too. He had a picture with him, but this is back in the 70s. Yeah.
That's right.
He was a lovely person. So
That's awesome.
I really like that. Yeah. So what are some other, I think things that people don't understand exactly about the Muslim faith? Like when they see somebody, just some common misconceptions that you're like, no, that's not exactly true.
Well, first off, I guess people think you're married. As soon as they assume you're married, or that you want to get married. So that's probably one thing, which a lot of Muslims are married because, one of the things we try not to do is have, premarital sex. So that's where you see a lot of people are married. Unfortunately, sometimes it's turned into casual sex, and that's something that is like a little dark secret in the Muslim community is people are just marrying and divorcing, unfortunately. So the Muslim community has issues with relationships like other people.
Yeah.
So that's it to talk about.
That
too.
is.
I don't think people know that,
Yeah.
It's like everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
So they definitely have that. So that, relationship issues is big.
Oh.
I mean, I wouldn't really say like terrorism. That's something that I think affects the immigrant community more so.
Okay.
But at certain times, when there's heightened issues, global issues, you might find it entering into the Black community. Or if you go out of, urban areas into other places. I've been to some places and I would, get some stares or get some, just people are not they're not sure what to do with that.
Yeah.
I was just in Virginia for the Eid holiday. After my family, we spent some time in the mountains of Virginia just last weekend.
That's nice.
And I could tell, so I was just I'd be in elevators or walking around a resort, and I'm people kind of looking at me these are white people and, from probably that area or maybe from other areas that not from a city like Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And they would just kind of like stare at me and I would know, and I could see they were uncomfortable. So I would just like say, something really, hey, something like small talk. And I would see them literally like their face, like relax. So, and it's weird to me because I'm like, Philadelphia, we have Muslims everywhere. It's just like, it's a different world when you leave Philadelphia and you experience that. And I don't take offense to it because I just look at it as a lack of knowledge.
Yes.
And I'm open to, if you have a question, I'll be open to speak about it. No problem. But but don't try me. Because
Don't try me.
that's just not okay regardless of where I'm at. So, but if I see people look uncomfortable and I like, I'm trying to just sense what their thought is and just come out with it. So I'm open with that. But misconceptions, I mean, just in the Muslim community or, like from the people outside the Muslim community, I don't really know too many. I mean, we used to, like, growing up, we used to have conferences on the misconceptions, and I feel like they're not even misconceptions anymore. Like, maybe I'm too insular with the Philadelphia community that I feel like everybody knows.
They just know.
I would guess I would have to ask you, what is something that you think, and maybe I can say, oh, no, this is what it is. Because
That's actually good.
That is good. Well, me personally, I kind of, my father is Muslim, so I kind of familiar with Christianity and Islam. And so I kind of always, and he also would reference the Bible for certain things and stuff. And, but the Quran was what he prayed. But I mean, I think that's a great question for you because I kind of know some things, but I may be wrong with some things as well because she's definitely, definitely lives the lifestyle.
Definitely. I do want to bring, this is something, current happening. I'm gonna bring up Brittany Renner, and her faith.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I do have questions after that came out with her marrying Kevin Gates and everything. I mean, how it's like a two-part question as far as just annulling the marriage so quickly, like in your faith. How does that make you feel as a Muslim that it just seems like the marriage was not taken seriously? And then if you can explain to me when you do get divorced, how that process is.
Okay. Actually, I have no problem with Brittany Renner. I mean, because she is doing what so many other new Muslims are doing. One of the things that a lot of new Muslim women do is when they become Muslim, or men as well, they want to get married. And why do they want to get married so quickly is because they realize that they want to live the life of the Muslim, and one of the things is not to have sex outside of marriage. So that's one of the reasons why people get married so quickly. Whereas in outside of Islam, people may live with a boyfriend or girlfriend for years, and then they decide, okay, let's get married or whatever.
Yeah.
But in Islam, like, you may have people do that, but they know that that's not what they're supposed to do. So it's easy to get married. And basically, she probably didn't get a legal marriage contract, or maybe let me take that back because I don't know what they did. But in general, so she got married, and basically it's easy to get married. There's a simple statement to get married in Islam. Is you have the man, and then you have the woman, or you have the woman's guardian. So basically the statement is, the guardian or the woman, let's say the guardian says, I now give you my daughter in marriage for the agreed upon dowry. So the dowry is a gift that the husband pays to the wife, for the marriage. It could be whatever she wants. It could be any amount. So they agree to whatever it is, and and then she gets it. And then he says, I accept marrying you for the agreed upon dowry. And they're married. Oh, wow. It doesn't have to be in a mosque. It doesn't have to be in front of a judge. But it typically, many people, they do it in a mosque, with, you need to have 2 male witnesses, and they do it there. So the marriage can happen quickly and simply. And the dissolvement of the marriage, the divorce of the marriage is as simple as well. If he says, I divorce you. So he can divorce. So the man in Islam could divorce his wife for any reason. And And a lot of times, like, and just looking at that situation and trying to, the world is seeing it one way, but as Muslims, I'm seeing it as this happens a lot. Like I've known people that have been married for a month, or been married for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So unfortunately, what happens is you don't get a lot of time to know the person before marriage, because if you just understand just human nature, if you meet a person and you really like them, eventually, and if you're not virgins, you're gonna get to that place that you want to get intimate in some type of a way.
Yeah.
So what happens in a lot of Muslim marriages is they get married quickly, maybe after a month or, a few months, and they don't live together prior to, so they don't really know each other.
Right.
So now you're with someone that you don't really know, you married them pretty quickly, and it's a lot of hope for the best. And it's and then once you get there and now you're living with them day and night, and you see, oh, I don't like you, I don't, and then you say, okay, I want to get a divorce. So what happened to her, I think they said 52 days or something like that. I wasn't shocked by that at all, and that's not uncommon. Unfortunately, it's sad because what happens is now she's, she has a divorce.
Yeah.
And people that are not Muslim are looking at it as a big deal. Muslims don't look at it as a big deal. So she can go on to get married. So one of the things I think she did mention on something that she has a 3-month waiting period.
Yeah.
So that 3-month waiting period is called the iddah. So the iddah is when the wife, she stays unmarried. So after the divorce, unmarried, for 3 months in order to have 3 menstrual cycles to see if she's pregnant.
Okay.
Because if she is pregnant, then the divorce is not final until the baby is born.
Okay.
So, and then the husband takes care of her all through the pregnancy and takes care of the baby, until the baby is considered an adult.
Okay.
So that 3-month waiting period. So she's probably in that now, where she wouldn't marry anyone else, and no one approaches her for marriage until after that. And then after that 3-month period, if she's not pregnant, then she's free to do what she wants, remarry, whoever, marry someone else, or have you.
Wow.
But yeah, she's like, I do see some people like coming at her saying, oh, she should just stop playing with them people's clothes, and she should just like basically stop what she's doing, like she's not being real. I don't see that at all. I mean, like she's learning. Like she had a life prior to being Muslim, and now she's learning how to be Muslim. And she got married and it didn't work. Many people get in relationships and they don't work.
That's very true.
But she said, okay, well, I want to not have sex outside of marriage, so I'm going to marry this person, and hopefully it'll be good. But it wound up not being.
Yeah.
And I don't see no fault in that at all.
That's really good. I'm glad that you clarified that, because, a lot of people have a lot to say about that online, and it's just because they're not educated on that. So I learned a lot from that. Like I had no idea. So I'm really glad that you explained that. Yeah.
So do you think, because the way you were just explaining it, do you think that is a modern day Muslim problem for probably adults, maybe between age 30 to 50 or something like that? That demographic of like, okay, well, we want to make sure we're doing things the right way. We want to make sure we're waiting until marriage. Sometimes people just don't click.
Right.
They're getting divorced after a month. Maybe generations prior would have just stuck it out to the end. So do you think that's more so of a modern mindset? And how does the modern day Black Muslim in particular navigate in this modern world with still keeping those old school traditions? Because I'm sure that's something that you have to navigate with.
Yeah. I have to navigate myself, and I have my daughters are 21 and 22. So they're like, got to understand marriage for themselves in this new age.
Yeah.
But one of the things that was interesting, I was listening to something about relationships, and it wasn't like, particularly about any religion. And they said, the problem is it's just too many options now. They was like, in the past, like our grandparents' age, or maybe let's just say the 20s, the 30s, right? The people you knew was in your community. And then of the people in your community, maybe it was 5 men that you had any option, you had to choose from.
Yeah.
That was it. And then you picked one, and you pretty much lived in your community, or maybe moved a little bit away, and that was your life. You picked that person, and that's just who you rode it out with.
Yeah.
Today, it's just so many options that you don't have to, like, even if you pick one, you don't have to stay with them because there's always like 10 more or whatever, however many more coming behind them. And you can just swipe to the next one, go to the next one. So I think that's the case with all people today and all relationships. So unfortunately, what young people are doing is they're not deciding, they're deciding against it. Like, I don't want to get married. I don't see the need in getting married. It's, there are, I can choose, this one. And if this one if it's, doesn't work out to my liking, there's another one and there's another one and there's another one. And I think nowadays young people are saying, I don't want any of that. I don't need that. I can, have my own money and my own place, and I can just be with this one. I want this person when I want to be with this one. And unfortunately, it's sad because what happens is children suffer. Because if you do bring children into the world, you do have, even if you have great parents that are co-parenting, well, that child is still not growing up, with all of the knowledge that comes from seeing a man and a woman work together.
Very true.
And then and so if you have a boy growing up with a single mom, he doesn't know what a man does in a relationship. So how does he treat a woman in a relationship? He doesn't know. Right. And so that cycle just goes on and on.
Very, very true.
Yeah. Wow. I've learned just so much.
Right, exactly. Just really opening a whole new world of like, you know what, this is definitely a community that is not really talked about enough when it comes to just the basic necessities, needing somewhere to pray. You know what I mean? Just the basics that should be addressed. So, I think that's really commendable what you're doing for the community.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So definitely let the viewers know also where to find you on social media, what you have coming up next as well.
So not really big on social media. I am there. Not so much like organizational wise. But one of the things that we are going to do coming up in October is an Islamic school fair. So this will be our third Islamic school fair, and we're going to do it at the School District of Philadelphia. So we did it the first 2 years there, and it's a space that we rent.
Okay.
And so it's not in partnership with the school district, but they allow us to rent the space. And it's a good central place, for families to come and learn about Islamic schools.
Oh, that's cool.
Because a lot of the habits and, the culture can be taught through the schools as well. So that's coming up. And I would say the website, I think it's Philly Majlis. I would have to look it up. I'm so sorry, but you can look up, if you're trying to find more about the Majlis Ashura, you can look up the Majlis Ashura of Philadelphia in Delaware Valley. So the Majlis is spelled Majlis.
Okay.
ASHSHURA. Okay.
Right.
So you can just Google it, and you can find out about the one in Philadelphia. There's others in other cities.
Right.
Maybe you find one near where you are.
Oh, wonderful. So thank you once again, Na'Imah, for, stopping by the Dynasty House. And I want everyone that's watching to comment. Let us know if you have any questions for Na'Imah or myself and Pam about today's topic. Did you guys learn something new about Islam that you did not know before, and ways that we can advocate and, work together as a team to make sure that this community is addressed accordingly?
Absolutely.
Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. And like always, thank you, Na'Imah, for coming.
Yes.
It has been a pleasure, guys. Your girl, Nia J, my beautiful co-host, Pamela Nicole.
Hey. Yeah.
And you are watching
Dynasty Queens.